Greetings everyone. I want to talk a little bit about environmentalism and people who worship at the halls of environmentalism. If there are still any Catholics who are big environmentalists, stop it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want to care for the planet that you live on. You shouldn't care for the world you live in. But I'm saying if you genuinely believe that those people who run things in the world care about the planet, you must stop, because it's not true. They do not care about the planet. And any measure that they take under the guise of environmentalism and making the planet better is actually a measure to help them make more money. We've had a great example of this just recently. In England, specifically in London, where something called a ULEZ has been enforced. If you're not from the UK, you may not know about this. ULEZ, U-L-E-Z, stands for Ultra Low Emission Zone. So if you have an older car that is now giving out more emissions than is permitted, you can't drive that car anymore. And here are a couple of reasons why I think it's obvious that this is a scam. That this has nothing to do with the environment, because I don't believe for a second that the people in charge care about the environment and care about what's going to happen in hundreds of years to the environment when they're long gone. Number one, when I'm out in London wandering around on the streets, not driving, just walking, every few minutes a plane goes flying over my head.
They're talking about pollution, like in this area, when I've had planes flying over my head for 57 years.
Every few minutes, I'm not exaggerating, literally every few minutes there's a plane flying over my head. In fact, the London City Airport, that is quite far from where I live, but it's in central London, that is now taking far more journeys than it used to. Far more planes are going in and out of there than used to. Some years ago it was actually very limited. There were only very particular routes that were going there. And now it's way more than that. There are loads and loads of journeys going in and out of London City Airport. And yet, the emissions from planes don't seem to bother them. Because every few minutes when one of those planes goes over my head, I know it's dumping copious amounts of pollution everywhere. And yet that doesn't seem to bother the people who are trying to help the environment and therefore implementing these draconian laws. Here's a nice little example of what I'm talking about. Pears harvested in Argentina, potted in Thailand, sold in the United States, but the problem is your old car. As you can see from the bottom picture, that's the journey those pears make. They start off in Argentina, they're flown to Thailand, and then they're flown to the USA. Well, your car is the real problem, and you should be taxed for having it. So of course, who's this going to affect the most? It's going to affect poor people.
My sister, she drives. First of all, they're telling us go petrol. From petrol we went to diesel, because they said diesel's better for the environment. Now they're saying get rid of all the diesel cars and go to petrol. So we bought a diesel car for £2,000. Now we've had to get rid of that. We only got £200 for it, and now they're turning around and saying go to petrol, because otherwise it's going to cost you £12.50 a day and everything. So we had to scrap our car, go out, get another car, which we were finding it quite hard because we only had a limited amount of money. And we finally found one for £3,000. So I had to use my savings so I could pay for her to get another car.
Sadiq Khan, the horrible mayor of London, I try to be charitable, but he really is an absolutely awful mayor.
He's an absolute sod, I hate him.
Has been sanctioning studies that haven't been peer reviewed. He's basically got his own people to do some studies, or people that he likes to do some studies that supposedly show that because of this unclean air, because of all this pollution in London, thousands and thousands of people are dying. So he's implemented this ULEZ in order to supposedly save lives. And yet, if somebody doesn't wish to follow this new law and still wants to drive their old car that emits all this pollution and is responsible for killing thousands of people, they can, as long as they pay £12.50 per day for doing that.
It's all okay for me to pay £12.50 and go and pollute the air. But if they really wanted to have cleaner air, they'd have the cars off the road. Not tell us, yeah, go and drive and then just pay £12.50.
He keeps citing, clean air in the city will save 4,000 lives a year. He cannot prove that. That is a classic case of lies, damn lies, and statistics. He just plucked that out of the allegedly polluted air and made it up. And when the Imperial College scientists who investigated just how beneficial the banning of old cars and everything around the outer boroughs would be in terms of clean air, they said not at all. His proposition is this to us, the people who live in outer London boroughs. It is, if you drive petrol and diesel cars, you are helping to make the air toxic and therefore you are helping to kill thousands of people. Fat babies, old people, you're killing them. But if you give me £12.50, that's just fine, go right ahead.
So this is a life and death situation, unless of course you pay, and then it's fine. Go ahead and kill thousands of people with your high emissions. So that shows just how much this is a load of nonsense. People must stop worshipping environmentalism. It's a scam. And a lot of them don't, thankfully. And there have been a lot of protests. And a lot of these new ULEZ cameras have been taken down and vandalized. I am understanding people's anger at these draconian Big Brother-like laws. So yes, fellow viewers, fellow Catholics, Christians, even if you're not Christian, please don't believe that these people care about you. Because just like under COVID, where they put in all these measures and people just went, yes, we trust you, we'll do whatever you say. What is it you want me to do? You want me to hand my freedom over to you for many months? Here you go, here's my freedom, take it please. Here's my freedom on a plate. Please take it away from me. I don't want to kill grandmother. Oh, I need to get vaccinated so I don't kill granny. People who are vaccinated don't pass on COVID. Well, I'll do that right away. Oh, wait, what's that you say? Oh, people who get vaccinated do still pass it on. Ah, wish you'd said something earlier. But this is what happens. This is what happens when people take God out of their lives. They push aside the real truth, the actual truth, and they start believing truths that are not true. Because they feel like they need a truth to believe in. They need something to fight for. And then they fight for things like environmentalism. And they believe these people in charge, like they have the ultimate truths and they're here to make your lives better, to make everyone's life better. They're not. They're really not. This was already implemented earlier in certain parts of London. And obviously there were not great enough protests to stop this. That was like their little trial. We'll do it in certain areas and we'll see how people react. And if they kind of let it be, then we can do it in more areas. Just like I think the COVID lockdowns were a little bit of a test to see how much are people going to let us do to them if we just tell them that this is for their own good. And people pretty much caved in and just did what they were told. And the same thing has happened with the ULEZ. They trialed it, people kind of gave into it and just went, okay then, fine. And now they've done it in more places. So there we are. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Have a blessed day.